The sharp scent of antiseptic still clung to the corridor as Dr. Elijah Moore stood at the scrub sink, carefully washing his hands, prepping for surgery. Calm, focused. Out of nowhere, a nurse strode by briskly, eyes barely meeting his. Without so much as a second thought, she shoved a mop handle toward him and said flatly, "Room 5. Clean it." Just like that. He looked down at the mop, then back up, not responding, not flinching. Moments later, boom, an overhead alarm cut through the air like a blade. Code blue. Room 2. Chaos burst like a thunderclap. And just like that, the man they thought was there to clean floors became the one man they all desperately needed to save a life. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed, flickering faintly above the long, sterile hallway, casting dancing shadows on pale tile floors. The hospital air was heavy, not just with antiseptic, but with that undercurrent of stress, sweat, and burnt coffee. Dr. Elijah Moore walked steadily down that hallway, steps measured, back straight, not in a rush, but with undeniable purpose. His ID badge swung lightly from his chest, catching light with every movement. The lanyard stretched tight across his navy blue scrubs still crisp with starch, not yet softened by time. His posture radiated calm authority, but his eyes were sharp, observant, quietly scanning every detail, catching whispers meant to be hidden, glances too quick to be polite. As he passed two nurses, their murmurs trailed behind him. New janitor maybe. Why's he even near the oar? Someone should say something. He didn't flinch. Didn't blink. He'd heard it all before. Back in med school, during residency, even during grand rounds. Sometimes people didn't need to say it aloud. The silence between their words carried the message loud enough. But Elijah, he kept moving, one foot after the other. He'd learned long ago that staying quiet sometimes made the loudest kind of noise. Music swells. Outside the surgeon's lounge, a young intern leaned against the doorframe. White, smug, coffee in hand, stethoscope slung casually around his neck like a badge of early pride. He tilted his head and smirked. "Wrong door, buddy." Elijah paused just for a second. No emotion crossed his face. No grin, no frown. Their eyes locked. Stillness. Then, without a word, Elijah turned the knob and walked in, leaving that smug little laugh hanging awkwardly in the air, like a punchline no one laughed at. Inside it wasn't much better. Heads turned. Brows raised. Voices dropped to whispers. One doctor muttered just loud enough for the words to drift across the room. Guess janitorial staff got new uniforms. No one greeted him. No nods. No, "Hey doc." Just stares. Stares wrapped in assumptions. Elijah didn't break stride. He moved with quiet confidence to his locker, opened it with practiced ease, and pulled out a surgical binder. Pre-op notes organized, highlighted, reviewed relentlessly over the last 48 hours. It was the aortic valve case. High risk, high complication, high reward. But Elijah knew that anatomy like it was part of his own body. What they didn't know. He was the lead. He was the surgeon. They didn't even consider the possibility. He walked to the coffee machine, poured himself a cup, hands calm, steady. But just once, just for a heartbeat, his jaw clenched. A paper towel, crumpled and carelessly tossed, landed at his feet. No apology followed. Elijah glanced at it, then stepped around it. He didn't pick it up. Not out of pride, but because he didn't owe them that. In the corner, Dr. Halpern, a respected attending mid-50s, graying, glanced up, recognition flickering across his face like a match that never quite caught. His mouth opened, then closed. He said nothing. Even the ones who knew rarely spoke up. Elijah didn't need them to. His silence had its own kind of thunder, low, deep, undeniable. Every breath he took in that room. Quiet protest. Every step forward. A reminder that he didn't need to prove himself with words. He checked his watch. Surgery in 20. He sipped his coffee, adjusted his cap, and turned to leave. Back straight. Head high. Not because the sting didn't reach him, but because he had turned restraint into armor. Let them whisper. Let them doubt. He had no need to correct them. The operating room would do that for him. Then came the chaos. Code blue. Moom 2. Repeat. Code blue. The speaker shrieked overhead. And for a split second time stood still. Then, explosion. The step. Yells. Orders. Scrambling carts. Rattling trays. Nurses suiting up. Doctors calling out. In the lounge everything stopped. Coffee cups clinked. Chairs screeched back. Eyes darted across the room. Who's on call? Someone asked sharply. Dr. Single, a nurse replied, scrolling rapidly. He's off-site. 15 minutes minimum. 15 minutes. The words were heavy. Final. Countdown with no time left. A shaky voice cried out. We need a lead now. Silence. No one stepped forward. Not the ones who wore confidence like armor. Not the intern. Not the whisperers. Not one of them. Voice. Clear. Like a scalpel through tension. I can. Heads turned. Eyes widened. There in the doorway, framed by that sterile hallway light, Dr. Elijah Moore stood tall. His presence filled the room before his voice even landed. No rush. No theatrics. Just that unshakable calm. His scrub top still creased from the locker. His name badge, now visible, glinting under the fluorescent light. Dr. Elijah Moore, Chief of Cardiothoracic Surgery. The silence that followed. It wasn't confusion. It was realization. That they had looked at him. And never seen him. A nurse, startled, stammered. Wait, but you're... He didn't answer. He didn't need to. I need vitals. I need scans. Get a team prepped in O2. His voice was sharp. Commands, not requests. Feet scrambled. People moved. Tone changed. Elijah passed the nurse who had handed him a mop hours earlier. Her face flushed red. He didn't look at her. Didn't need to. There was no time. Inside O2, a man lay unconscious. Heart barely fluttering. Valve collapsed. Bleeding internally. Seconds ticking louder than the machines around him. Elijah scrubbed in fast. Efficient. No wasted movements. He didn't need to announce himself. His actions did that. Vitals. BP's dropping. 60/40. Clamp that artery. Retractors. Suction left side. Now. He didn't shout. He didn't stumble. He commanded. Move. Dark. Blade in motion. Behind the glass the intern stared. Slack. Eyes wide. Watching the man he'd mocked earlier command a room with nothing but skill and calm. Dr. Halpern, quiet in the corner, whispered under his breath. My God, he's saving him. 10 minutes. That's all it took. 10 minutes where life and death teetered on the edge. And Elijah. Steady hands. Clear voice. Quiet power. He held the balance. And when that heart monitor returned to a steady rhythm, beep, 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 the whole room exhaled. He's stable.